don't get me wrong, TNA gets 1,000,004 in their viewership. That's not bad, people. I mean, when you compare it to WWE and you compare it to Thunder and you compare it to Nitro's ratings, it is pathetic. I mean, it's funny how when ECW was on TNN, I remember all the fucking WWE marks, all the fucking WCW marks. I used to always laugh at ECW. I had so much pride in ECW. I bought the fucking video game, and that video game was the worst fucking video game I ever played. And even though I still played that game, how many of you out there that were diehard ECW fans bought the fucking video game, put it in your video game, and then got bored to hell and was like, this sucks. This is shit. But you still tried to play as the gangsters. You still tried to play as Rob Van Dam. You still tried to fucking pretend that arena was the ECW arena, and the moves sucked and the characters sucked. But I still played it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, even though the game sucked. Why? Because I was a diehard ECW fan. And when ECW went to TNN, I couldn't wait to see it. And I got so pissed off with the diehard WWE fans and WCW fans making fun of the ratings. I remember a 0.9, a 1.0, a 0.8, a 1.1, and the bashing continued and continued and continued. And I remember the first episode of ECW and TNN, if I remember, was a match from a pay-per-view involving Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it was. And the funny thing is, ECW got shitted on with those ratings back then, and TNA's doing the very same thing. But as I was saying, TNA getting 1.1s, the rating sucks, but it's still doing 1,000,004 in the viewership. The problem is they're not increasing that viewership. They've been doing on average between 1,000,002 and 1,000,006, and some other idiot is sending me private messages in the chat room. I'm not reading them, so I don't know why you're doing it. Maybe you'd like to maybe I should talk in Indian. Maybe you're an Indian. Abib in the chat room. I do not accept the messages. I'm not reading the messages. But anyway, so the bottom line is TNA is out of touch with mainstream wrestling fans because they can't increase their base no matter who is on that product. And when you realize that you have Hogan and Kurt Angle, and this goes to another thing. A lot of people on the Facebook page, I'm telling you, if somebody sends me another private message, here's the deal, everybody. I'm closing everybody's private messages. The next person that sends me a private message, I'm going to boot you from the chat room. All right, because you obviously don't understand English. Okay, Ryberg is the first one to go. Let's see. Let's scroll down to Ryberg. Boop. Bye-bye. Anybody else? Because they're making me fucking lose my train of thought. Oh, I'll do something even better. I just won't look at the chat room for the rest of the night. How's that? And you know what's funny? Ryberg just exited the chat room, but someone else came in. So welcome to the person who just took his place. And I'm just not going to look at the chat room anymore. So anyway, the bottom line is that, TNA is out of touch with gaining additional viewerships. And we might as well talk about it right now. TNA put up a press release that they have hired Brooke Hogan.